Welcome you all to the Who's Who in RINSA event. We have a full 2 hours ahead, so hopefully you'll leave today with maybe a bit better understanding about what is the Regional Innovation Network of Southern Alberta and the people and organizations involved. So just first as we begin, I would like to acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the traditional territories of the Blackfoot Nations and the people of the Treaty 7 region in Southern Alberta. Now, let me take you through a little bit about what the afternoon's going to look like, just so you have an idea of the agenda. So as we start off, I'm just going to start off this with just a couple minutes describing what regional innovation networks are. So just give you a little bit of an overview of what these RINs that you hear about all the time actually do, how they're made up. And then following that, we're actually going to move into meeting the partners of our Regional Innovation Network of Southern Alberta, RINSA, through a moderated panel. Following that, and there will be some breaks spread out through here, we're going to have a quick break and then move into a networking session. And you'll get some instructions on how that's going to work. And then we're going to end off with a closing keynote from Joshua Daychief from Advanced Ag. So I don't know about you, but I'm really looking forward to this. There's a lot of information packed into a couple hours. I do want to mention, if you're having any trouble, technical difficulties or anything like that, and you can type into the chat, please do. The chat will be monitored and we'll have people that are around to help you out if you're running into problems. The one other thing I wanted to mention just before I get into the description of the RINs is I just wanted to give a big shout out of thanks to those who helped organize today. Not only thanking all the RINSA partners for joining us today and all of you guests, but specifically, I wanted to thank Economic Development, Lethbridge, Tech Connect, and the University of Lethbridge for helping pull all this together, specifically Aaron Ugenti and Brandy Old. Thank you guys so much for helping organize this. And I also want to give a thanks to the Tech Connect WeSTEM program for sponsoring this Remo platform that we're using today. So let's move into a little description about what is a regional innovation network. We hear about RINs, we hear about RINSA, but really what is it? Let's talk a little bit about the entrepreneurial support ecosystem. So throughout the province, there's been this need to build up a support system of resources and programs to help entrepreneurs move along their journey. And we like to look at it as the companies that we support, the small and mid-sized enterprises, are at the heart of this ecosystem. This is why we do what we do. And there's really 3 points of effort going on: coaching, community, and capital. At Alberta Innovates, who I work for, we have many different departments, but the department I work for is entrepreneurial investments. And as you can see from this screen, we carry through those 3 points. We use the coaching mechanism with roles like myself, the Technology Development Advisors, or TDAs, to help work with companies directly. Of course, we have our funding programs for capital, but we make an investment into the community side through regional innovation networks. So what is a RIN? What is this thing? Well, really at the end of the day, it's a group of independent organizations coming together with a common cause. And that common cause is to create a network of programs and services and offerings to help accelerate the growth of entrepreneurship in their region, with primarily a core focus of technology and innovation or knowledge-based businesses. Now, through that goal with those RINs, we actually have a full Alberta Innovation Network. So there are regional innovation networks spread around the province, covering most of the area geographically and anchored with major locations. So in the north, we've got Fort McMurray and Grand Prairie, down through Edmonton, Lloydminster. Central region is carried through with Red Deer and Olds through to Calgary. And then we move into the south side of the province and we have the Regional Innovation Network of Southern Alberta covering the southwest side. And then we have another regional innovation network in Medicine Hat called Apex covering the southeast. So who's RINSA? Who is this Regional Innovation Network of Southern Alberta? Well, like I mentioned, these RINs are made up of independent organizations who are kind of all coming to the table together with a common purpose. So down here in the southwest region, we have the University of Lethbridge, Lethbridge College, Economic Development Lethbridge Tech Connect. Also joining at the table as a funder is myself, representing Alberta Innovates. We also have federal representation with our local technology advisor from the National Research Council, Cal Koskowich, sitting there for NRC IRAP. We have representation from Picani Resource Development, as well as Blood Tribe Economic Development. We also have representation from the Lethbridge Chamber of Commerce, Community Futures Lethbridge. And then we also have our rural areas, east and west, covered with South Grow and Alberta Southwest, the regional economic development agencies. And most recently, we've actually included Okotoks Economic Development because they found that there's a nice connection into the Southwest region for them as well. So like I mentioned, really at the heart of what the RINS do are these independent organizations coming together with a common purpose to serve, in our case, Southwest Alberta-based companies. So this is small and mid-sized, usually tending to be, firm support for the smaller organizations, but certainly those small and mid-sized businesses that are looking for some help and resources and programming. We do, at the heart of it, have a core focus on technology or knowledge-based entrepreneurs or companies doing innovative things in their vertical, particularly at an earlier stage. But having said that, all the programs and services you see offered independently from these organizations and partners, as well as collaboratively, really speak to any entrepreneur throughout their journey. So anybody can come in and take advantage of the programs and services. And through those programs and services, we want to make sure that you're being connected in with the right business advisors that you need at the time, helping to navigate the ecosystem. There's a lot of support out there, but how do you find the right one at the right time? Helping build up your networks and connections for your own group of advisors and support that you have in place. Of course, the creation of training and workshops and education, and then also the provision of meeting and workspace when you need it. And why do we do this? Well, we are trying to accelerate the growth of companies in our region. We're trying to accelerate the growth of technology and innovation in our region. We want to build up resources for coaching and network development, as well as education and learning. And then at the heart of it, when you're looking for capital, the RIN partners are really good resources to help you find the right funding at the right time. There's a lot to sift through with the ecosystem in terms of capital. And this is a way for you to really work through with partners to figure out, well, how can I find the right money at the right time when I need it? So like I said, I didn't want to spend too much time talking about the RINS because I want to get to the part where you actually start to meet the RINSA partners and hear about their organizations and their time with RINSA. So this just gives you a quick overview, quick brief idea about the RINS, how they operate. Every RIN is a little bit different, but personally, I think that the RINSA RIN is gold star when it comes to provincial RINs. So at this point, I am going to stop sharing and I'm going to pass things over to get ready for you to actually meet the RINSA partners. And I'm going to pass things over to Peter Cozzarella, the Executive Director of South Grow, to start moderating our panel.
Thanks, Lindsay. I'm Peter Cassarella up here. I am the Executive Director of the South Grow Regional Initiative, as Lindsay mentioned, one of the supporting members of the RINSA gang of companies. Here at South Grow, we do regional economic development, which is a bit of a different beast. So I work for 28 towns, villages, counties, and the city of Lethbridge in South Central Alberta in order to coordinate everybody's efforts on regional economic development projects that create an impact for everyone. And we're going to take some time now, a few minutes, just to get to know a few of the core partners that are supporting RINSA, and I'm going to pepper them with some questions to get a little bit of a better understanding of what it is that they do, some things that they've been working on recently, and with a particular focus and emphasis on the past year and how RINSA's played a role in the pandemic and all of the crises that we've seen across the region as folks are desperately shifting and finding innovative new ways to do things differently in light of the challenges that we're all facing. So I'm just going to start by running around the group, and I want each of you to just briefly introduce yourselves, who you work for, and get a better sense of the scope of the work that your organizations do. in a nutshell, can you point to a project that you're currently working on that you're very excited about? 2 minutes each, and I'll start with Brandy.
All right, well, thank you, everybody. It's awesome to be here. We're excited about this opportunity. So for all of you attending, thank you. And if you have questions, I'm excited to hear about them. My name is Brandy Lee, and I work at the University of Lethbridge. I am in Research Services Office, and my role there is Partnerships and Commercialization Coordinator. Person from outside of the university comes to campus and says, hey, I mean, like, doesn't really come to campus, but contacts us. Hey, we're looking for a partner. We're really interested in GIS, for example. I would try and facilitate that connection, and part of my role is finding funds to support this partnership. So I'm happy to talk a little bit more about the funding agencies that I'm connected with and I can help you with. And another part of my role here at the university is supporting startups. So we have students and faculty who have great innovations and want to take that to the next level for commercialization. So I assist with IP protection, patenting, different things like that. And I guess one of the exciting projects that we've been able to work on is we have a couple of student startup companies on campus that's quite new to the university. And so we're excited about venturing into that. We were able to find some funding to help get their commercialization and product development off the ground and into the retail market. So that's pretty awesome. And I guess a little bit about me. I went to Jerusalem on a little study abroad for 2 months. And while we were kind of cruising down the Nile, I thought it would be really cool to jump off that felucca into the Nile. And as they fished me out, later on that evening, one of the doctors or physicians that were on staff with us came and said, are you the one that ended up in the Nile? He gave me a lot of antibiotics and he said, if you ever get sick and you don't know what it's from, make sure you tell your physician that you jumped in the Nile. So anyway, that's just a little interesting little tidbit. Also, people seem to like to know that I have a black belt in Taekwondo. So there you go.
Thanks, Brandy, from the University of Lethbridge. I'm just going to jump over in line with my windows as I see them. I'm going to go to Cindy next.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Cindy Voss, and I am the CEO of the Lethbridge Chamber of Commerce. We are the voice of business for our region, also very active provincially and federally, which I might as well jump into. What gets me excited is all the advocacy and policy that we do. Right now, we're working on the Alberta Chamber of Commerce AGM. And what's really cool about what we get to do at the Chamber is we have such a diverse membership. So we have policies right now on water, on transportation, on energy, on supportive housing. So we really get to jump into a lot of different systems, which is great because then when a member says, we need some help here, we know exactly where to refer them off to. So that's one of the exciting things about I love policy. I like that kind of stuff. So you want to write a policy, I'm your girl. And Peter, yeah, we've loved reaching out to him too, because it's just great. And that's one of the things I'll say about this RINSA network is partnering with everybody and getting to know everybody, and just everybody has great connections. Just take the time to do that. Cool thing about me, I did my master's degree mostly in Russia. I was a touring concert pianist, and I've done a recital in Red Square in Moscow, and I got to do one in Chopin's house in outside of Poland, just outside of Warsaw. Not outside of Poland, just outside of Warsaw in Poland. So that was really fun.
That is really cool. We have some interesting unknown hidden talents amongst our group here that I'm learning too about. I'm going to jump down next to Jason from in the corner.
Good afternoon, everybody. Jason Donkersgood from Lethbridge College. Been at the college for 4 weeks, so I'm fairly new to the college. I'm the Director of Business Development, and my area looks after all of the corporate training non-credit programs. right now we have a really cool program running in the solar sector, which is pretty neat to see. I work very closely with Kenny and Megan in the Center for Applied Research, Innovation and Entrepreneurship, where we do a lot of applied research around agriculture. We've got lots in the innovation space for virtual reality and augmented reality. In fact, if you have a chance to come to our table, Alexi will be there. He works with the students in bridging their ideas if they've got an innovative idea or entrepreneurial idea. And one thing we're launching very, very soon, I'm not even sure if I'm allowed to say it, but we're going to have an aquaponics micro-credential coming out. We've got incredible research going on in that area and are world renowned for it. So that's coming out hopefully in the next couple of weeks. Something you might want to know about me, I actually have 4 kids. This morning was my youngest, she's 7 years old, telling me that she is going to have rainbow colored hair as of Friday. So not sure what that means.
We'll find out. That's really interesting. I have a 3-year-old who would love rainbow colored hair. Renee, you're next on my screen.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Renee Barlow. I'm the VP of Entrepreneurship and Innovation for Economic Development Lethbridge and TechConnect. So TechConnect is a technology business incubator that's been operating in Southern Alberta since 2012. And it was the reason why the Regional Innovation Network was first formed. So when we first built the building, we wanted funding through Alberta Innovates, and they were just starting to form the regional innovation networks at that time. So in order to get the funding, we created that network, and it's grown so much ever since. So it's just been a great engine for the entrepreneur ecosystem in Southern Alberta. So TechConnect, as I said, is a business incubator, and we help companies that are innovating in any kind of technology. And so we've had over 26 companies come through TechConnect. Some have been acquired, some have moved on, some have had good ideas, some not so much, but we support everyone to take that right from ideation to commercialization through our programs. So we receive funding through Alberta Innovates to develop our entrepreneurial programs, and tech-connected programs are some of those, right from fundamental entrepreneurship right through to business advisors. We have quite a number on our website in every kind of expertise and industry. So anything that you need to ask, you can get an answer. We also are proud to be also hosting the Women Entrepreneurs in STEM. We won a proposal for through Western Economic Diversification to do a 3-year contract to promote rural and remote entrepreneur women in STEM with an emphasis on Indigenous and immigrant women as well. So quite a lot goes on at TechConnect. Right now, of course, with COVID, it's a little harder to have space. So we're looking at launching a TechConnect 2.0 coming up when some things start to open up a little, just to create a space where we're all kind of a little tired of working from home, I think, and just have a safe space just to drop into, to do some work and maybe talk to some other innovators, or maybe just have a little temporary space that you can just go in and just work for a couple of hours. So we're just working on a model. We're getting driven by that idea from entrepreneurs of what they need and what they would like to have in order to grow their business and get that done. So we're shifting and pivoting, just as we expect our entrepreneurs to do, and moving some things in this ecosystem forward. So thank you. Thanks, Peter.
Thank you so much, Renee. And then last but not least, Darlene.
Thanks, Peter and everyone. So I'm Darlene Sinclair, and I'm the Executive Director for Community Futures here in Lethbridge. Just a few facts about Community Futures. We're a not-for-profit organization. We're funded by the federal government through Western Economic Diversification. There are 27 CF offices in the province and almost 300 across Canada, and we've been around for over 30 years. And our mandate is to make sure that anyone looking at starting or expanding a business has the resources. We are not a bank. We are an alternative lender. So what that means is somebody who's looking for traditional financing and gets turned down by a bank. Usually a bank will refer them to Community Futures, or we will also partner with other like-minded traditional types of banks, like your top Royal Bank, BDC, etc. And so sometimes you need more money than we can lend you. So we'll work together to make sure that you get the funding necessary. Our cap normally is $150,000 to any one entrepreneur. And then the other things that we offer are consulting and business planning. So we work with the entrepreneur to make sure that they can write a good business plan and they can understand their cash flow. We do business training. So through this type of partnership that you see at RINSA, we work together to make sure that good training opportunities are available to people in our region. And then we just want to make sure that anybody who's looking for resources, that the area is well represented, you know, that nobody feels that there is no help in Southern Alberta, because I think this is one of the strongest regions in the province to making sure that we all pass people from one to the next and ensure that whatever you're looking for, that you're well looked after. An exciting or unique thing about me is I've always been pretty much a girly girl, and then all of a sudden met my husband, and the first thing we ever did is I hopped on the back of a Harley and we went to Sturgis. So that was quite the exciting road trip for me, and I've got some great stories, but it was fun. So thanks a lot.
The thing I love most about RINSA is that everybody fits a niche. All the partners who work together, we all bring something new and different to the table. People come down and they meet the group sometimes, folks from Edmonton or out from Ottawa, and they're asking, are you duplicating services here? And the nice thing is about it is that because we constantly talk with each other about what we're working on, there's very little overlap, and we're able to cross-refer people to the support they need within the ecosystem. Before we move on to the question period, to peppering you with some of the burning questions that I have on my mind, I just wanted to share an innovative project that I'm really excited about since I asked each of you, and that is Terragraph technology. Southgrow is working on getting mesh network deployments for our villages and towns that don't have fiber optics trenched in, which are very new. They give fiber-like speeds, and they are a fraction of the cost of fiber. So in the rural areas, the digital divide is rapidly closing. I think all of Southern Alberta, south of Calgary, is going to get to those 50-10 speeds, those benchmarks that the government would really like to see by 2023. A year ago, if you'd asked me, I thought it would be 2025, and I thought that was ambitious. So the pandemic's had some good things. It's really spurred innovation and rapid movement on that front, which will enable a lot more participation in the digital economy. Okay. I would like to pepper some of you with some questions, and I'm going to pick and call out names, so I hope you're ready for me. The first question I have for, I'm going to ask Renee, Cindy, and Darlene is, how are you supporting your clients through the global pandemic? And I'm going to start with Renee and then go to Cindy and then Darlene.
Great. Thanks, Peter. Well, you know, when COVID hit, it was a bit of a shock for all of us, but we were able to pivot quite quickly into moving many of our workshops and business supports online. So we'd already started to do some of that virtually. Unfortunately, we had just had video conferencing equipment moved into Tech Connect through some funds. So we were positioned really well to start to deliver those programs online. We then were able to shift, because we weren't doing events anymore, we were able to shift some of that funding that we had that would have paid for events and food, those kind of things when people congregate in the events. We were able to move some more money into business advisors. So we now have quite a large stable of business advisors with cross-sector expertise available, who we also schooled in all of the COVID recovery tools, funding, assistance, all of those areas, that we could make sure that whatever entrepreneurs were starting a business or were in the business, that they had all the information they needed in order to move through this pandemic. We also did training in mental health with some of our business advisors, because we knew that running a business is already a stressful place as an entrepreneur and startup entrepreneur. We already know that's stressful. Add a layer of pandemic to it, and it could become quite serious. So we also provided a lot of training with our business advisors to be aware of what that was and listen for that, and be able to have a list of resources that were available in our community. You know, there is some silver linings to some of this. being able to get a draw of business advisors from all over Alberta and from, you know, other ones from across Canada that we can have come in and talk to us. We don't have to pay for the travel to come in. It's easy for them to hop onto a Zoom. And now we're able to tap a lot more expertise and actually really expand the knowledge of our Lethbridge area and our entrepreneurs out globally, but also globally coming in. The other silver lining was that there's a number of accelerator programs that Alberta Innovates would run, which normally would require the entrepreneur to visit or go to Calgary or travel to Edmonton and maybe stay there for quite some time. There's quite a lot of expense attached to that, plus, you know, being away from family, which people in Calgary and Edmonton didn't have to do. It was much easier to source it there. With everything going virtual, and had always been the belief that you had to be on site in order for these things to work. Well, we've proven it's not the case. So we have entrepreneurs that are able to access these provincial programs and work into the accelerator. And so now we're demonstrating that we can really have leveled the playing field for access for our business for our entrepreneurs. So we feel like we've really met the need in the market, and we're meeting the needs of the entrepreneur, and we're always taking feedback of how we can do it better.
Awesome. Thank you, Renee. Cindy.
Thanks, Peter. We are at the Chamber, we are completely funded by members and events that we host. So we don't have a grant system or guaranteed income. So we really need to listen to our members. Not everybody needs to listen to their customers, but we need to make sure that we listen to what our members are needing. So that's where advocacy really comes into play. It's interesting you talk about a broadband and such. This fall, we brought forward to the federal level broadband policy that was passed at the highest acceptance rate of any policy that was presented. So it just showed the power of what little old Southern Alberta has. And then that encouraged people to look into different places and within the college, within the university, within all our different systems. And it showed what we had and where we could go. We also, we were able to semi-host Business of the Year. We were able to showcase how you could do business safely, how you could do events safely. So which then helped people get out into retail settings or restaurant settings with a little bit of confidence, which we need confidence to go back into business so business can keep growing. So there was that piece of the puzzle. And hosting things like State of the Industry, where we look, how can we help construction? How can we help retail? How can we help people with digital marketing? We have one next week that's how do we help retail, you know, and it's been interesting because at each, you know, we had our stages and our phases, and the provincial government and I are now best friends. So, you know, different things happen, and I'm able to now, because we had put our foot in the door with policy and advocacy, that we're taking seriously. And that's because of the strength of our RINSA network, because I can go and I can pull and I can ask and get different experts within our system to help me. So I think the strength of what we gave our members was our strength in networking and showing how networking really works and that we need to keep it strong.
Thanks, Cindy. And to Darlene.
Thanks. Yeah, so I can definitely piggyback on to what both Cindy and Renee said. I mean, the one nice thing is we were prepared to work from home, even though we only did that for less than, I'd say, a month. We definitely found that to meet the needs of our clients, quite often having us all in one spot definitely helped foster some creative ideas. And also by being a part of RINSA, it was nice to be able to share and piggyback on all the other training opportunities that were happening, because the key thing that we were being asked to help businesses with was on the financial side. So all of our clients, we jumped, and jumped in right away. We contacted them, said, hey, if you're having trouble, our board of directors is on side. We can stop payments, we can customize payments, and we can get going like that. So we did that for 3 months right up front. And then from there, it's just on an individual one-on-one basis. So depending on the type of industry, we've been able to hold payments, work with them to make sure that they can stay alive and be successful. And then we were really happy through Western Diversification be able to offer the regional relief and recovery loans. So they were geared towards businesses that were not able to get the traditional bank CEBA loans. So these businesses were falling through the cracks. So it started out with $40,000 loans, same as CEBA. If you pay it off by December 31st, 2022, 25% of that loan will be forgivable. And then we're happy to announce that recently we were able to do the $20,000 top-up loans. And on those, same thing, it's got to be paid off by December 31st, 2022, but 50% of that will be a grant. So we still have money available, so we can still help businesses. So, I mean, those are the key things that from the funding perspective, we were able to add into the ecosystem.
Thank you, all three of you. Appreciate that. The next question I have, and I'm going to get everybody to run quickly around the table and answer it, is what is the most inspiring client journey that you've seen over the last year? And I'll start. The most inspiring story I have to report from my region, I think, has got to be the Renew Well project by the MD of Tabor in collaboration with EarCan and Canadian Solar. Basically, they started on this a few years ago, but it's really gathered steam in the last year. And they figured out a public policy pathway to deploy solar projects on abandoned oil and gas sites, of which there are hundreds and hundreds across southern Alberta. And they're beginning their first pilot of 2 megawatts this spring, with another 25 megawatts planned to be built out. And the government, for obvious reasons, is extraordinarily interested and wants Canadian Solar to do 200 sites per year at about 1 megawatt each. So it's a long-term solution to the abandoned oil and gas site problem in Alberta that drives economic growth and tax revenues for our counties at a time when they're all hurting quite a bit, and also helps us meet our carbon targets for the nation as a whole. So that's my story. Let's start with Brandy and then Jason as we go around the table.
I could just talk the whole time about some of our successes. There's lots going on at the university, so I'm excited to share this. One of them has been Agility, which is our makerspace and incubator. It was approved recently through MyTax, which is a funding agency. And what that means is if we have student entrepreneurs on campus that want to actually start their own company, they can leverage their funds 2-to-1 in support of development of their startup company through MyTax since Agility was approved. So that was one really cool thing. And I'm just going to highlight actually a few just to kind of show that we can support humanities, fine arts, sciences. So another one is just as simple as fine arts. We have a faculty member who I think was on for a little bit, who developed a product. And so I introduced him to an industry partner. And it didn't actually turn out that he was interested in the product, but what ended up happening is there was a really great connection made there. And the faculty member is able to work with this industry partner on studying some of the equipment that they use and the support that the students will be able to get through that, and the learning and skill development is really phenomenal. So that was a really neat thing, just in kind donation as opposed to funds. Another one is we have a nonprofit who is connected with someone in women and gender studies to do a project to kind of work together in a humanities sense. So $60,000 is I think what it was leveraged up to support this research for a local nonprofit organization. And then lastly, we have a challenge in our synthetic biology group called Deep Yellow. And so if anyone is interested in connecting with them and they have a challenge, like we have an egg company who's reached out to us and said that they had a kind of a challenge or problem that they wanted to kind of look into more. And they registered for this Deep Yellow challenge. So they put a few dollars towards it. But what that gives them is a whole cohort of like grad students who are synthetic biology majors, biochem, and they're just doing phenomenal work. It's a challenge that they have to try by a certain timeline to find some great solutions and some advancements for that company. And it doesn't cost the company very much, but what they get is some pretty phenomenal results at the end, and students get an opportunity to work for that company. So yeah, so we can kind of target and highlight quite a few different areas. We've had lots of successes, and I'm looking forward to the future.
And some stories from the college.
Yeah, hi everybody. I will say I'm only 4 weeks in, so I have a very small bank of stories to go through right now. But a couple things that I was really interested to learn about, again, on the aquaponics side, it's astounding. Our top researcher is continually speaking in the speaking circuit. And just recently, we started having people from around the world come to us from all over the place to ask questions and to engage in conversations on that topic. So that's really neat to see us on a world stage when it comes to that. Another area that I was blown away with and didn't even know existed before joining the college was in our VR AR, so the virtual reality, augmented reality. And I really think it's interesting to look at what we're doing on the policing side, specifically taking a look at those situations and can we put somebody in law enforcement into a situation and see what their reaction is in those situations. So there's real world solutions being developed through what we're doing, which is really great to see.
That video game. Let's jump over to Renee.
There's a delay on the mic. Yeah, well, we have so many wonderful inspirational stories this year. It's hard to pick one. But I had talked about companies that were now able to access the provincial accelerators. And Dan McGuinness and his wife Karen Shouting with Thunderbird Farms have a permaculture project for food sustainability on Kainai Reserve. Dan and Karen have been trying to work on this project for quite some time, forward and back. We try to get them connected. They're both just fabulous entrepreneurs. But getting them access and virtual access to this Calgary Innovate Calgary program was real growth for them, because it actually got them in front of more provincial people and some investors and some really concentrated programming for them that they benefited from a great deal. So it actually leapfrogged them forward. So now we're starting to see some real growth for them. So that's an amazing story for me about a silver lining of having that kind of access. And we've had other entrepreneurs that you might not think might be technology. So I want to talk about that, because it might not seem that some businesses are technology based. This one was a farrier, horse farrier. So trimming hooves, you wouldn't necessarily think they were very highly technical, but he wanted to create an app that would help record the health of the horse, that he could put his information on about doing the trims and the horses. And I'm a big horse person, so I'm like all over this. But also that you can go in and record all of their health. Vets can go on and do that. The massage therapist that you have, yes, I had a massage therapist for my horse. The chiropractor, all of those things, which you don't know that or that, but you could go onto this. And now you had a centralized place for that health. And so he was able to work with us. He went through the entrepreneur program. It even helped his other business of just the foundations of his business. But he was now able to develop an app, and now he can push that out to other farriers who have no idea they have a technology coming their way that will really help them with their business. So it's just, some great inspirational stories of just being able to help anybody apply some kind of technology to their business. And I always think that any business that's coming up, it's just technology pending, and we can help find a solution. And then moving into emerging technologies and what we're seeing with blockchain or AI, machine learning, as we get more and more data that we're working with, and when it's starting to become more and more important that we have authenticated supply chain for our food and other kinds of trades. These are areas that we really want to move forward, and we're starting to see some really interesting startup companies starting to apply some of those technologies to the marketplace. So I'm pretty excited about that. So thank you.
Awesome. And Renee, while I got you on the hot seat, there was a question that Sandy Lyons put in asking how many business advisors you currently have available through Tech Connect.
Oh, so I think we've got 12 on the Tech Connected side through the RINSA program, and then we have over 20 with the Women Entrepreneurs in STEM side as well. So, any kind of expertise that you're looking for, come and see us. Visit our websites and do that search, because we can get you linked up with these individuals about any question about any industry. Thanks.
The beautiful part being that if it's not part of your stable, the other RINSA partners probably have what they're looking for.
Well, we link to everybody, right? Yeah. So it's great. Yeah.
Now we got Cindy and Darlene, and I know Cindy and Darlene have been on the front lines during this pandemic of some of the hardest situations, dealing directly with small business owners, going through hell sometimes. But I'm sure you've also got those inspiring stories you've seen close up and personal as well. Let's go for Cindy and then close out with Darlene.
Thank you. Yeah, it's tough, because I remember one of early in the days when I would have business owners phoning me saying, Cindy, I don't even know if I can pay my receiver general this month. And this was before money started coming in. And some of those phone calls were hard and heavy. But what I'm going to talk about is the resiliency of business and the level of social responsibility that our businesses have in Lethbridge. It's just phenomenal. We've started in featuring vibrant community connections and unique services, because even though businesses, because we're ranked second in Canada for having the most philanthropy going on in the system, and they're still doing it. And some of the stories, even Toonies for Tummies, giving out free air conditioners or free heating systems. Like it's amazing through hardship, the kindness that is emerging. So I could give you the sad stories. They are hard, and there are people that are struggling, but there are people that are being creative, and it's those. As an entrepreneur, you've got that creative standard in you, and whether it was pre-COVID, COVID, post-COVID, you're still going to have that standard. And what I'm so proud of, and what I'm seeing, is people maintaining that standard, that social business standard, and I believe that's what makes us so strong as a region.
Cindy and Darlene.
Thanks. Yeah, so when we talk about creativity in businesses, we certainly see that. I mean, it took a while, right? We saw lots of businesses who were more worried about how they were going to survive and, what that was going to look like. But we're starting to see really great ideas and people believing in the future, believing in starting businesses, right? So cool story that we have is we had a local business who I think the owner was just feeling defeated and was thinking, you know what, maybe it's time for me to pivot, go into something else. But the staff that they had working for them believed in what they did so much. So they sat down and they went, well, you know what, why can't we take over this business, right? They were well versed, they were well educated in what it would take to be a business. They knew to start with, a partnership agreement. They knew that the location that they had been working in might not be the best location. So they did some research, they secured a new place downtown. They knew enough to research grants and loan opportunities, because there again, they wouldn't have been approved by a traditional bank. So they came to see us. We can do that alternative lending. And then we also have the program in downtown Lethbridge with the business revitalization zone and with the city of Lethbridge, where they could access loans up to $15,000 where the interest is paid by them. So, I mean, they're well on their way to having a successful business. They're motivated. They live and breathe that business. So, I mean, just having, people starting to think about, you know what, I could start a business in this time and I could be successful. So it's nice to see people really realizing that there is a future. There is a good future, and we will be resilient. It might just look a little different, and different is exciting.
Okay, we've got literally 1 minute until we're done this segment. So this is going to be lightning round. The question is, if there's one piece of advice you could give to an entrepreneur in Southern Alberta, what would it be? My answer is try to knock holes in your idea. See if it holds water. We're going to go in reverse order. Darlene.
Sorry. I'm going to say research your ideas, make sure it's tried and true. Don't try to wear every hat in that business. Seek out where your shortfalls are and get the help you need.
I use the word courage. We have it in us and we know it's there. Just have to have that faith and keep going. You have the courage. You have the standard. You can.
Courage. Renee.
Ask for what you need. There isn't any question that you can ask that we can't find an answer through our network. So if you know that you need it, ask for it. Even if you think it's impossible, I'll bet we can do it.
That's right on. Jason.
Tap into the incredible support within this community.
Sweet. And Brandy to wrap things up.
Just know your market. Don't try and sell something if there's no market for it. You might have a great product, but if it doesn't fill a need or solve a problem, it's just a good idea.
My clock still reads 1:50. Lindsay, we did it. I'm handing it back to you. Thank you all very, very much. There's going to be opportunities for Q&A, I believe, coming up when we do some networking.
Thanks, Peter, and thanks to all the panelists. So much good information. And I'm just going to quickly reiterate too, because we're a collaborative, we do work closely together. You can reach out to any one of us. Like there's not, one source, one entry point, one whatever. If you have a relationship or you know somebody who knows somebody, which always happens in this area, just go through whatever avenue you can, because we work so closely together that we will leverage from each other where we think your best fit is, and we'll do some of that work for you. So like everybody said, don't be afraid to ask, just reach out, and there's a lot of help available. So Aaron, I'm going to pick on you, Aaron Ugenti. So are we going to go with a break first, or did you want to talk through the networking piece?
Yeah, we do have a planned break, so we could do either, or we have meant to have a 5-minute bio break kind of thing, and then I've got a Loom video, so we'll play that over YouTube. It just kind of shows and walks everyone through how to deal with the networking component next and just some of the subtleties there. So why don't we do the break first and then come back, because then we're meant to push right into networking after viewing that video in here.
That sounds good. So we'll be back here at 1:55. Aaron can cue up the video then, and then we'll get going into networking. So thanks everyone. See you in about 4.5 minutes.
Thanks so much. And folks, if you did have any questions that stem from that panel that you just witnessed, you're free to bring those questions to the networking tables and ask the hosts of each organization at those tables. So we'll be back with you in just 4 or 5 minutes. See you soon. Okay, hello everyone. So Lindsay's going to bring us back, and sorry if anyone got cut off there, but we will be able to follow up and chat if you've got questions as we go. Thanks so much. Hope you enjoyed the networking.
Yeah, I think we've got some people going, oh, I was in the middle of a sentence and got cut off. So hopefully you're able to connect. If you didn't get people's contact information or you wanted to continue conversations, you can actually find them in your chat and send them a direct message if you just want to switch emails or anything like that, and then maybe email them offline and book a time to chat with them outside this event. So just really quickly, I'm going to introduce our closing speaker for today. So bear with me because I don't have all my notes memorized today. So I'd like to introduce Joshua Daichi. So with Advanced Ag, Joshua's background is in environmental reclamation, and he joined the Advanced Ag team in 2013 to conduct numerous research projects funded by National Research Council. He has continued to grow the reputation and development of the Advanced Ag product line from third-party research and engaging in a team approach. So today, Joshua works very closely with dealers, suppliers, and end users to solve many soil and water issues. He has a passionate vision that extends globally for Advanced Ag. Joshua is the most recent recipient of the Lethbridge College's Honoring Excellence Rising Star Award, so congratulations. And I'm very excited for the speaker today because I have to say that this is such a good example of a family business, entrepreneur, really leveraging the ecosystem and relationships and really doing what they can to grow locally, regionally, and now nationally and internationally. And there's just so much sweat and tears and passion that goes into growing a company, but there's just so much to be gained if you can leverage the ecosystem around you and everybody here to help support. So I am happy to introduce Joshua to come on and share with us his remarks.
Thank you, Lindsay. It's a nice intro. So I guess I just share my screen here. Presentation going.
Josh.
Okay, I'm assuming you guys can see that.
Yeah, we see it in your kind of keynote, your key kind of view, so we can see the slides off the left.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. I'll just go to full screen. That's full screen for you?
It is now, yes.
Okay, perfect. Well, greetings, everyone. First off, I'd like to thank everyone involved who put this event together. You know, the networking and collaboration opportunities that can come from these events is incredible. You know, I wish we had events like this 10, 15 years ago, and I think Mom would echo that or that comment as well. I'd also like to thank everyone for you know, giving me the opportunity to be a part of this and share our story. As mentioned, my name is Josh Daychief, and I am the CEO of a company called Advanced Ag. We're based out of Raymond, Alberta. And I believe the reason they got me to come on and talk today is because we literally are the poster child for how RINSA and organizations that are a part of RINSA can help you build your business. I guess my job over the next 20 minutes or so, I might go over a little bit, is to share with you the journey of our business. This won't be easy. I'll try to cram in about 20 years of this journey and of our business being in operation into a few slides. So Advanced Ag is a family-owned business. We've been working with bacteria for over 20 years in many, many different industries. But as I'm sure you gathered, we are heavily focused on the agriculture side of things now. I'd like you to look up at the top of this slide here and look at the 3 words up there. It took us about 5 years of being in business to find out that these values right here are the most important for businesses like ours. The one that sticks out the most, really, I think for any business, and I was just having this discussion in the roundtables there, in the networking part there, is relationships. This is so important, and this is why events like this are so great. Every decision we've made as a company and as a business have these values at the core, and you will see why as I go along. Okay, time for a little bit of history. 20 years ago, my mother, Dr. Phyllis Daychief, was an instructor at the Lethbridge College. Not a science or biology instructor, but a technical writing instructor. Through some networking and her side business as an entrepreneur, she stumbled across an opportunity to work with a bacterial-based product for aquatic ecosystems. So she formed a company called Advanced Water Technologies, and she had this vision of using bacteria and natural processes to large lakes and bodies of water. If you've ever had the opportunity to meet my mother, you can literally see the passion and enthusiasm vibes that are coming from her personality and everything she does. The reason this business is in operation today is because of that passion. She was going to take over the world, and these products were going to save our environment and save our water. 20 years ago, you have to imagine, you know, things were a little different. The mindset for biological-based products was completely different. People thought of bacteria as almost like a mold or definitely not beneficial. So, you know, where do we go from here? She didn't really know what to do. She had this product. She wanted to go sell it to many municipalities, but they weren't biting. They wanted more research, and it had to be Canadian research. They didn't care what was happening in India or Mexico or in Europe. They wanted Canadian research before they would do anything or buy any product. So she didn't really know what to do. She went down the hall to someone she knew, Cal Koskowicz, who's been brought up a couple times here. She knew he was a wastewater engineer, and this product had been used in wastewater facilities in the past to break down sludge and organic matter. She said, "Hey Cal, what do you think about this product? What do you think about this technology?" And he said, "You know, Phyllis, I think you got something here. I wouldn't quit my day job, but I do think you have something here. Oh, by the way, I'm the IRAP rep for our area, and if you do want to do some research, I could probably get you some money." She also knew through her connections at the college that John Dirksen at the Aquaculture Center of Excellence, he's now the chair there, knew something about water quality and biology. As a common theme throughout this, I do want to focus on relationships, because this is the perfect example. I mean, both of these gentlemen are still very close to our business. You know, ACE is now recognized, you know, across North America as, you know, for their research in aquaponics. We still work with John Dirksen on some research stuff, and Cal's probably our biggest cheerleader that we have. At the time, the National Research Council had funding for innovative, environmentally friendly technologies, and that funding kept our business alive for the first, you know, few years. The research itself was completed with Lethbridge College's Aquaculture Center of Excellence, and between the college and our head scientist, John Wong, we were able to figure out what these little microscopic bugs were actually capable of. I heard someone on the panel before say research, 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 which I thought was funny, was the name of one of my slides here. It was everything to us. We focused on large scale remediation projects. We weren't necessarily interested in cleaning up someone's backyard pond or, you know, small ponds. Like I mentioned, Mom wanted to take over the world, and we wanted to clean large lakes. So how are we going to do that? We had to figure out how to take our bacteria and grow them, reproduce them to make it feasible for large scale remediation. You need a lot of bugs if you want to treat something like Henderson Lake or some of these large natural lakes. Anyone can grow bacteria. Water, heat, and air will create the perfect environment for bacteria to grow. But we wanted the right bacteria. We wanted bacteria that we knew were going to provide rid of algae blooms. So in order to do that, we had to work with IRAP, get some funding, and figure out and, you know, how long they would stay, the populations would stay high, what their death phase was, and to mix different species of bacteria is a very, very difficult thing to accomplish. One species will always want to take over the rest. So, like I mentioned, IRAP allowed us to complete this research. And honestly, at the time, we had no idea how valuable this research would be. The best part about the research projects was, you know, we were using the IRAP funding, but even if we had to put in our own money, we could access, we would submit a SHRED application, and it would get us up to 80% of our money back. I mean, well, that's a pretty cool system. And without that, again, we wouldn't have a business. And this is something I just want to say, like the SHRED application as a business, I see so many companies involved in research that don't take advantage of that. So if you want to ask me questions afterwards about how to submit a SHRED application, I'd be more willing to share that. It's obviously been very valuable to us. So once we figured out how to keep every species of bacteria at a high population, it was time we put this technology to the test in the real world. This is actually a picture of bioreactors or tanks at the city of Calgary, and each one of those would represent a pond we were treating. They were our very first client, and a very big client, obviously, with all the stormwater ponds that were around the city. This was something we were really excited about. They started with 11 ponds, I believe, and we believed in the product. We saw the research that was happening, but we didn't know if it would work. We had some clients, municipal clients, that were using it for wastewater. We saw a lot of sludge breakdown, cleaning up these, not cleaning up, I mean, sewage is sewage, but creating better efficiencies for these wastewater operations. But one of the many eye-opening experiences we had was when we started applying these to some of the ponds in Calgary. We were cleaning them up within a couple of months. The picture on the left is a pond in Calgary, and the picture on the right is actually one just outside of Hardyville just outside of Lethbridge. So these were the kind of things we were seeing, and as we the years went by, we diversified. We were getting into working with different irrigation districts and different industries, and this was just the success was coming in heaps. Then we developed some retail products and an opportunity to work with a large lake. And this is where our biggest eye-opening experience was. As everyone knows, Henderson Lake's kind of the hub of the city. It's 62 acres, and we won a bid to treat the lake and try to break down the sludge and organic matter over 3 years. So we worked with the college. We were brewing bacteria at the aquaculture center, and we were applying bacteria to the lake every week. Over the 3 years we were treating the lake, we saw a 64% reduction in organic matter. This was a huge eye-opening experience, and really just validated a lot of the research we were doing. This really would work on a large scale. What were the limitations? At this point, when we got this report back, we didn't think there was any. So, I mean, it's always nice to be noticed and recognized. Early on, National Research Council awarded us with an Innovation Leader Award. This is something that still hangs very proudly in our office. And but now with some of the stuff we're doing in agriculture, we've been able to win some new awards. So NRC, that award was great to win, but that was a while ago. More recently, Alberta Innovates funded. We're able to give us some funding to attend some workshops from the Canadian Environmental Technology Advancement Corporation. And because of the success and the difference we were making on the environment, we won an Alumni Achievement Award. And most recently, the Lethbridge Chamber of Commerce awarded us an Environmental Stewardship Award. I just got to say, the Chamber, we became a member, I think just last year. And since the day we became a member, they've been connecting us with like-minded people and groups and organizations that would help further our business. They've just been incredible supporters of Advanced Ag. So how do we get into agriculture? We didn't really stumble into this one by accident. We were looking at studies done around the world using different strains of bacteria to improve crop health, root mass, and overall soil health. We did some market research, and we found that this is kind of where the future of ag was going. I mean, farmers were looking for more regenerative practices, biological based products as a more sustainable way to pass on their farm to other generations. I guess the big question for us is, yeah, we were having a lot of success in lakes and ponds, but would this work outside of an aquatic ecosystem? Not that this overly matters to this group, but these were the bacteria we were growing. We knew that each single species of bacteria we were growing, all 5 of these, had different functions to improve soil and plant health. So this was a main focus of our research. And these were just some of the things we were seeing around the world, but everything was on a small scale. Everything that we saw in terms of a case study globally was done on 10 acres or less. So we really wanted to try our brewing technology here. We had some farmers that were willing to come on board and run some trials. We were at this point, we were basically giving product away just because we were so excited and we wanted to see how the product would work. We set up our first trial on about 1,600, 1,600 gallons on a farm in a very, very dry area in Schuler, Alberta. And then we also set up, I laugh at the bottom picture because this was our largest brew to date. You can see the tanks behind me and this farmer here. Those are 10,000 gallon tanks. And we found out very quickly that what we'd been using in the past to grow bacteria was not going to work for 10,000 gallons. We couldn't even get the product to the top of the tank, let alone heat it in northern Saskatchewan during early spring. So we had some work to do. I guess another eye-opening thing. I mean, first product here in Canada. Farmer calls us, sends me these pictures, and I'm not a farmer, so at the time I didn't really know what I was looking at. And he said, "Josh, my alfalfa field is just rank," is what he said. Sent me these pictures, and he said, "This is my second cut. I've never had a second cut on this field. I used to, as a kid, go and mow this field." So he was happy. That was great. But what did it mean? Did we have data? No. Did we have proper trials done? No, not necessarily. He also noticed a protein increase and a quality increase in his lentils. So these are some of the things we were seeing early on, and anecdotally, it looked really, really good. Then, I mean, the farming community is very tight knit, and especially when we talk about regenerative, sustainable agriculture, there's a circle of people involved in that, and word of mouth spread. Everything spread really fast. Word of mouth. Travis was going out and telling all these farmers what this product did to his crop. So actually, and I'm not sure exactly how, but the Flamin group of companies found out what we were doing, and they said, "Hey, I have farmers who want to try this." So they came to us and said, we want about 100,000 acres of this product applied to Saskatchewan. Out of 11 different locations, what can you do for us? Well, we definitely had some work to do because, how we were brewing before with these little heaters and aerators, it just was not going to work anymore. We developed something called a mobile brew unit that had a very primitive software to monitor and control parameters of each brew. And these things, believe it or not, are still in operation, but not efficient at brewing bacteria. So what was our next step? We needed money. We needed money to develop this technology further. Excuse me. We accessed a micro voucher from Alberta Innovates to develop this software, and we've now trademarked Brutus as a top-of-the-line brewing technology, not just for applications in Saskatchewan and Alberta, but globally. And again, I'm going to go back to it. This is the theme of building relationships and networking. Bill Halley, who was actually the technical advisor with Alberta Innovates at the time we received the funding, he stayed in close contact with us. He legitimately cared, and he would often come by, our offices for coffee just to see what updates we had. And once we got the funding for this technology, things really started to snowball for us. Bill is now retired, obviously, and he's actually currently on our board of advisors. I would consider him a friend and a huge asset to this company. So back to these units, we now have units for large scale distribution. The one you see on the left there was quite a breakthrough. We were able to now produce roughly 40,000 US gallons of brewed bacteria every 96 hours, which before it would take us weeks. So this allowed us to get product out on a large scale, and without Alberta Innovates and the funding we had to do this, we wouldn't be selling near as much product as we are today. So how can we produce these units efficiently? Again, we still have a small office here in Raymond, a small shop. We needed more money, of course. So we actually received about $100,000 through Western Economic Diversification as a majority women-led business. And this allowed us to improve our operations and our shop to produce our technology more efficiently. So what was our next step? The first couple of years we were working direct with farmers, obviously, but after running numerous successful field trials in southern Alberta, Independent Crop Inputs came on as a dealer, and this was really the first dealer of our network of dealers to come on board. And I mean, pretty cool to see some of the stuff we were seeing. We're doing currently today roughly 10,000 acres of treated potatoes in the Tabor area, and just consistently, I mean, you can see the line in the field here, but better root development, better uniformity, storability, and these farmers are cutting back on other inputs to food production in southern Alberta. And this was another big eye-opening moment for me. This was the first field we stood in where ICI called us and told us to come out to Foremost and look at these lentils. And as we were driving along, getting to this site, it looked like everything was dead. I mean, we had about 2 inches of rain this summer, and but then we saw this line in the field, and that's where our bacteria was sprayed. So you got to imagine how excited this farmer was and how excited we were to actually see this in the real world, you know, working. I will never get sick of this. And it wasn't just in southern Alberta. This is up by Edmonton. We were seeing better germination, healthier plants, and a clear line where we were applying our product. And I threw this picture in because, again, all about relationships. That very first farmer that used our product now works for us. He's our ag advisor, and that's him standing in a field. Again, you can see the left side has our product, and he has expanded our sales significantly, just being a farmer and talking that language and building our dealer network. So where are we at today? You know, we started with our very first brew facility here in Raymond, and now we're not brewing anything here. After 5 years in the ag industry, we have 21 brew locations across Canada, you know, in BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and Ontario. But this year we're looking at adding another 12 brew facilities potentially. You know, we are officially coast to coast. We're in the Maritimes, all the way over in BC, and we're actually looking at sending out a few Brutus units to Ireland and Australia as well to run trials. So something that's been pretty cool to see over the last few years. And obviously, as things have snowballed, like I said, we've kind of gone into different markets. We ran a trial with Manderley sod farms in Strathmore, and this is a 4-week difference on grass. So you got to imagine the value now all of a sudden this bacteria is having for people's lawns. We're doing some more research with Oregon State. Very, very exciting stuff. And we're looking at working with companies like Site One Landscape Supply, and a few other big landscape supply companies to provide a natural product for lawn improvement. Okay, this one is pretty cool because as I heard the panel speak before, I heard them bring up the Deep Yellow Challenge, the University of Lethbridge, the Lethbridge College. I mean, all this stuff is happening in our province and more specifically in our area. It's pretty neat to see, and for me, is a really good indication that innovation is in really good hands in southern Alberta, but not only innovation, but agriculture as well. There's a big focus on this, and obviously we all know the University of Lethbridge has their new science commons and are putting a lot of research and funding towards the agriculture. Deep Yellow Challenge, this is something we are looking at taking on. You know, state-of-the-art laboratories and PhD students and interns with the U of L, and this is an ongoing relationship. If you haven't seen their boardroom yet at the Science Commons, we had pretty good time sitting around that, visiting with Laura and their team over there. And then the IATC at the Lethbridge College. I'm now on the board of advisors for that facility, and obviously, you know, they're focused on working with a lot of ag research opportunities and industry partners, and it's something really cool to be a part of. Not sure how long it's been, but this is my last slide, and I love this slide because believe it or not, those vegetables had no fertilizer, just our product. And this is Travis's daughter, probably equivalent to 100 gallons of our product per acre. But I always like showing this slide because that is the next generation of agriculture, of our farmers and producers and ranchers. And to see what a natural biological based product can do, obviously in a garden like this, and to see her smile is pretty cool. And again, I'm going to go back to our values: research, relationships, and results. And I think, you know, those three things are very important as an innovative company, but especially the research side of things. All right, that's all I have. Again, I appreciate the opportunity to talk about our business. As you can tell, I'm very, very passionate about it.
Well, thank you so much, Josh. It was wonderful hearing from you about your advanced ag journey. I know we're all fangirls cheering you on as you do all your work here. And I just want to say thank you to everyone that tuned in, and thanks for spending your afternoon with us. As you can see, we're a rambunctious group of people who love to help our community and get involved. So like Lindsay said, if you've got any questions at all, reach out to any one of us. We're really well connected and happy to share our networks with you. Thank you to all of the RINSA partners today, and in particular, WeStem and Tech Connect for supporting us with Remo. It's been a pleasure to be on and actually getting a chance to network. That's one thing we really miss with our Zoom calls. It's very structured now in the online world. So to have a chance to just bump around and say hi to people was really, really exciting. So hopefully you've picked up a little bit of knowledge about our local innovation ecosystem and the supports that are available to you. And even though our event's at a close, of course, it's just the beginning for you. So whether it's making connections today or thinking about some new areas of funding or even pursuing that new crazy idea, I really encourage you to take the next 30 seconds to drop that LinkedIn invitation, sign up for a newsletter, get onto the event, whatever it is you need to do to keep the energy going, and stay healthy, safe, and happy. And I'm sure we'll be seeing you soon. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon, and thanks for tuning in.